Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of writing here. We're just going to write down the problem, and then I'm going to go through and show you how to set it up and solve it. Okay, now what I did is I gave you one problem on your homework that is just like this first example so that you would really be able to solve it easily. And then I have another problem that's kind of similar to the other problem you'll see on your homework too, but different. But I think I'm very confident that after you see how to do this, you're going to be like, oh, that's no big deal. Okay. So a charity is collecting coins to raise money. They have collected twice as many dimes as quarters. $22 more, oops, that's supposed to be nickels, sorry. Nickels than dimes. And 3 times as many pennies as nickels. Okay, so I'll give you a second to get that down and we'll talk about it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick a variable. Now there are 4 different types of coins here, but if we look back at this problem, we can see that it all kind of originates back with that quarter, because we know that there's twice as many dimes as quarters, and then it builds from there, and then the nickels build on the dimes or the pennies build on the nickels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let x equal the number of quarters. Okay, I'm going to let x equal the number of quarters. And now what we're going to do is we're going to write an algebraic expression for each type of coin. So we have our quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Okay. So let's break this word problem apart here a little bit. Well, first of all, quarters is pretty straightforward because we know that the number of quarters is x. Okay, so we have x quarters. Now what we can do is we can build off of that using that variable for all the rest of our coins, because it says that there are twice as many dimes as quarters. So I can do 2 times the number of quarters to find out how many dimes. So I'm going to do 2 times x. Does that make sense? Yeah? Awesome. Then it says there are 22 more nickels than dimes. Okay? And dimes is 2x, and it says that there's 22 more. So I'm going to add 22 here. Then pennies, it says there's 3 times as many pennies as nickels. Well, this right here is the nickels. So I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to multiply that whole thing times 3. Everybody follow so far? Yeah? Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now that we have all these algebraic expressions for each one of our coins, we're going to compile that and use that to answer a question. So my question is, if there are 165 coins total, how many of each coin are there? Okay. Well, if this is the answer we're trying to find, or what the question we're trying to answer, we need to find out what the total, this whole thing all together would be. We know it's going to be 165. So we're going to add up all these algebraic expressions to find, and then set it equal to 165 to find out what the value of each coin is, or how many of each coin we have. So I'm going to take the quarters. I'm going to add the dimes, which is 2x. I'm going to add the nickels, which is 2x plus 22. I'm going to add the pennies, which is 3 times 2x plus 22. And it says that the total altogether is 165 coins. Does that make sense? We're adding up all the different kinds of coins and we're setting it equal to 165 because that's the total number of coins we have. Now we can do is we can solve this to find out how many quarters. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I'm going to leave you guys to it. Go ahead and solve this to find out what your x is, which is your number of quarters, and then plug it in for each one to find out how many quarters, how many dimes, how many nickels, and how many pennies. Okay? Solve your equation, then now you know how many quarters, because that's what x is. And then use that to figure out how many dimes, nickels, and pennies. And I'm going to start doing my math too, that way I'm all caught up. Did everyone get 7 when they solved their equation? Awesome. Okay. And I'm going to go back and plug these in while you guys are doing it too. Okay, here's what I got. And I'm just gonna do one last quick check. I'm just gonna add up all these coins because we know that the problem says that they add up to 165. So I just wanna make sure that after all that, I did get 165. And I did, I'm good, okay? Any questions on this one before we move on? Okay, I'm gonna show you one more problem. It's along these same lines. I just wanted to make sure that you got to see some different types of problems. Looks like there's a couple people writing. I'll give you just a minute. Oh, my coffee's gone. How sad. I do, right in that hallway. But I'm trying to limit myself to just 1 cup of coffee every day, so that's it for me. And it's just sad every time it comes to that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip my page over because I'm out of space. And as you can see, these problems take up a lot of space. That's why I only assigned 2 for your practice tonight, because they just take a long time. They're just lengthy. All right, so we're gonna look at some friends that have some DVDs for this problem. So 5 friends have a certain number of DVDs, okay? And I do feel like I'm gonna have to change this problem at some point because I think DVDs will eventually be obsolete. Everything we now have is on our Apple TV. We go through Apple Movies now instead of our DVDs. Yeah, Maddie? This is just another example. Oh. And then you'll do your homework tonight. Or you might have time at the end of class. Okay, so let's go through these friends. Okay. So Devin has the fewest. Aiden has 7 more than Devin. Bella has twice as many as Aiden. Claire has 3 times as many as Devin. And then Katie has 6 fewer than Aiden. All right. So here's our friends. And we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We always want to start by deciding which one is going to be our variable. Which person would be the most sense to represent our variable here? Go ahead, Cream. Yeah, definitely. I would say Devin too because Devin doesn't rely on anybody else. Okay, so we're going to let X be the number of DVDs Devin has. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to write an algebraic expression for each person. Obviously, Devin's going to be X. Okay, so take a moment, see if you can write those algebraic expressions on your own. All right. So I'm going to write them in 2, and then we can compare. So Devin has the fewest, he's X. Aiden has 7 more than Devin. Bella has twice as many as Aiden, so I'm going to make sure I group that because it's that whole thing that's doubled. Claire has 3 times as many as Devin, and Katie has 6 fewer than Aiden. So Aiden, it would be this. You can simplify that if you want. Okay. Now the next part here says that if the friends have a total of 94 DVDs, how many does each friend have? Okay, I want you guys to try to write the equation, solve it, and then find out how many each friend has. I'll give you a couple minutes. I know it's a lot of writing. Okay, so I'm going to do my math too so you can check it out. Did you guys get 9? Awesome. For the number for Devin? Okay. And then I'm just going to plug it in, and we can just make sure that we got the same things. Is that what you guys got? Yeah? And then I'm just going to add them up real quick to make sure. Yeah, 94. Awesome. Any questions for me? Well, you guys have, I always think you're going to have time to work. You guys have about a minute to work. So if you want to get started on your homework, go ahead. I'll be checking it in tomorrow beginning class. Oh, I should stop recording too. Stop recording.